Hello, and welcome to the Rouge unit of the Reek. And today we're taking a look at the Merkava 1. So the Merkava is a very interesting main battle tank design, and it's quite unorthodox compared to other Western and Eastern main battle tank designs. Basically, after the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War, with some pretty intense tank engagements, the Israelis realized that with a next generation of main battle tanks that they needed to produce, one of the key components they needed to focus on was crew survivability, as with a rather small country like Israel with a small population, pretty much every single person matters a lot, especially trained military personnel. So we need to make sure that these trained military personnel don't die. And the Merkava is pretty much built from the ground up to accommodate this. One of its main and more weird features is that the engine of the tank is actually in front, rather with most main battle tanks. It's in the back. This pretty much gives the crew a little bit of extra survivability, as the shell has to, well, go through an engine block first before going through the crew compartment. There are exit hatches to the rear, and there's actually quite a big storage space in the rear of the tank, which allows it to be used as extra transportation space, including other soldiers. Mark 1 model of the Merkava entered into service in 1979, armed with a 105mm cannon. It wasn't until the Mark 3 model in 1989 where they upgraded it to a 120mm cannon. It first see major combat service during the Lebanon War in 82, where it proved to be quite a successful vehicle, as all the extra armor protection and crew survivability worked, as RPGs and T-62 tanks they engaged had a pretty hard time knocking out many of the Merkavas, and this was a rather big upgrade compared to previous Centurion tanks. In game, the Merkava 1 is a 65-point MBT available to the Israelis. It is 3 weapons, and the first weapon is your standard 105mm NATO cannon with 41 rounds of ammunition, 2.1km range, 65% accuracy, 50% raw moving, 13 AP, 3 HE, and 9 rounds a minute. It's your pretty standard 105, okay range, pretty low AP, it's accurate, and it shoots relatively fast enough. You also have a 50 caliber machine gun and a 7.62mm machine gun, which does regular machine gun things, which is shooting people. Got down to a miscellaneous stat, has 16 frontal armor, 5 at side, 3 at back, and 3 at top. 10 HP, big size, poor optics, a speed of 50km off-road, 110 on the road, poor stealth, and okay autonomy of 400km, and it's type restricted to mechanized and armored deck. So in battle, the Merkava 1A is one of the most heavily armored tanks for its rough price range. For 65 points, 16 frontal armor is pretty bloody good. You can survive shots from super heavy tanks and not get blown up immediately, which is not bad for 65 points. Really, statistically rise, it's very similar to the US baseline M1 Abrams. The main thing is that you're a little bit slower, but you do get that extra frontal armor. You do also have one less side armor compared to the Abrams. And pretty much the role of this vehicle is to be a tank, a tanky tank, a cheap tank at least, to just survive RPG and other tank shots, and it's really just there to provide fire support for your infantry and light armored units. It's not going to be able to blow up heavy tanks, but that's really what your other heavy anti-tank weaponry is for, such as Maglans. Now you may ask, why not just take the Merkava 2B for 15 more points? You get better AP and even better frontal armor, and that's not a terrible suggestion. But for another 10 points more, and in the infantry tab, you can just take the Merkava 2A, which, well, frees up another tank availability slot, so you don't have to be getting too many tanks in your tank tab. Also, you can just get the Magak 6 for just a little bit more, and it acts as a better anti-tank vehicle compared to the Merkava. Overall, the Merkava 1 is a very effective and cost-effective tanky tank. I've actually seen it used quite a bit in competitive play, where it can just provide that good cheap fire support, especially similar to how the Soviets use their T-72s. So just kind of throwing it in a forest with some infantry to back it up, and if it survives a bit, blows up some enemy infantry, and it will eventually die, as long as it gets some value out of it. it's not that bad. It's pretty good, it's spammable, and it's cheap and survivable. It just is a lot of things, really. Just not really an enemy anti-tank killer. And well, I'm leaved off at that. It's been another Rank Rouge unit of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And usual, please just take it easy.